Hey, welcome to Let 'Em Talk. I'm Paul DiRienzo, and we have a great show in store for you. I'm looking forward to it. We want to keep track of all the community happenings in New York, and particularly, New York City's great the rage of New York right now, the obsession of millions of New Yorkers, and that is protesting Donald J. Trump, the alleged president of the United States. And I say that alleged president of the United States, I should say I don't say it facetiously, because he lost the popular vote, and now it's coming out every day that it's hard to say that he even lost the vote legally or not. It's quite a question. So this is one of the most unusual presidencies in recent American history, and I think some people feel that it's important to say, what? Oh, here it is. It's right there. I can't forget. No. Eva. No. So Eva from No Fascist USA, thank you for joining us, and glad to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show, Paul.
Well, this is a good opportunity to talk about your activity protesting Donald J. Trump, because that's what you've been doing today. Matter of fact, I think I caught a clip on a video link, a live stream that was sent to me today of you and others in front of Fox News, which is over on 6th Avenue. And why were you on Fox News wearing a T-shirt with the word "no" exclamation point? In the name of humanity, refuse to accept a fascist America. Hashtag No Fascist USA. Why is that?
Well, I'm a volunteer with an organization that's called Refuse Fascism, and we launched today a really exciting ongoing action. Mm-hmm. At noon, we stationed ourselves in front of what we call the Fox Fascist News Network, their headquarters, and we will not be leaving for 100 hours. It's 100 hours of no, because Fox Fascist News is just a mouthpiece for the fascist regime that is the Trump and Pence regime. You know, we identify it as fascist, not as an insult or an exaggeration, but because that is exactly what this is. Mm-hmm. And, Fox News is just their bullhorn in legitimizing it, in normalizing what they're doing and saying, and even encouraging and praising it in a lot of different ways. And they cannot be allowed to get away with it.
I can sympathize with what you're saying. And this, you must have run into this too. I have plenty of somewhat progressive friends who thought that Trump was better than Hillary Clinton, that Hillary Clinton was a warmonger, that Hillary Clinton was going to bring in, what do they call it? The system, the rigged system that Trump is always talking about, that this was some standing up against this rigged system. And I know that your organization are not, I assume, not big fans of the Democratic Party either, right? No. On the other side, right? So what do you say to those people who say, and as friends of mine have said, that Donald Trump, he's not so bad because he's at least standing up against the system, the rigged system?
Well, I am in no way a supporter of Hillary Clinton. I agree with a lot of your friends that she's a warmonger. But, she is not a fascist, and that is a difference. Yes, she would have been, part of this system, and that really, especially in the Middle East, it murders people. There are a lot of things that she would have done that I personally do not agree with at all. But there is this key difference here by the nature of what Donald Trump is, and not him alone, but him in conjunction with his regime, Mike Pence, and people he's appointed.
So you have to take the whole package. You take in the whole package. Right?
Exactly, and the thing about fascism is it's not just that they're misogynist, not just that they're racist, stone cold white supremacists and xenophobic nationalists, homophobes. They're all of these things, absolutely, and they make it clear in their policies and their rhetoric. But beyond all that, they're trying to enact a qualitative change in the system of governing. Yeah. A big part of the reason why he's...
Qualitative change, that's a big word.
Exactly.
What does qualitative change mean?
Well, a good example of it is what you're saying, that he's against the whole system that Hillary represented and against the whole, more traditional democratic
He wants to throw out all the norms, right?
Exactly.
What you would call the traditional democratic things,
And, there are a lot of flaws in that system, but him being against that is one of these trademarks of a dictatorship, right? What the dictatorship always has to go on the offensive and attacking what existed before. He threatened the assassination of his opponent, Hillary Clinton.
That's true.
And and by attacking and attacking and attacking, he
his
whips
vicious
up a
attacks
social
on
base.
judges. His attack is scary because,
absolutely,
as you said, flawed the system of justice is in this country. Those judges are sometimes a thin line. The judicial system, or judiciary, might be a thin line against somebody going off half-cocked like a maniac and deciding to have people thrown in jail and never seen again and things like that. Right? We have habeas corpus. We're supposed to have habeas corpus, right?
Right.
So if you're saying threatening judges, what are you saying? It's like the first step.
Right.
In my personal opinion. Well, so we're on the same wavelength. We're on the same wavelength. Eva and I are on the same wavelength. So tell me more about your organization and what you plan to do. I know you have some events. Tell me about this thing, first of all, that's going on for 100 hours. You're going to be there for 100 hours?
Right, yes. We are going to be at the Fox Fascist News headquarters for exactly 100 hours. It started at noon today, and we're going to be going and staying there right up until 4 p.m. on Saturday. And,
are you going back there after this?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I am going to be there.
And that's at 6th Avenue and 50-something Street, right?
It's 6th Avenue and 48th.
48th,
Yep.
right.
It's the sign says News Corporation. That's where.
And they have that
Fox
zipper
News
going
is.
around. I've been there. Right? Okay,
They call it the Fox News corner of the world because they're in their own world,
Right. So what is it about, I know what you mean about Fox, you say it instead of me, because I could go on. I was watching it today. It was, what about this Russian thing? Is this a distraction?
I'm not sure if it's a distraction. I think there might be something to it, but I think that that's not the basis on which we should be opposing Donald Trump. I think that the basis should be that he's illegitimate, not because of collusion of Russia, whether or not that's true, but because he is a fascist, because of what he's doing to millions of people, because of the threats that he put forth in the campaign and that he's now acting on.
Right.
And so, we're going to be out there for 100 hours saying no to their mouthpiece, their bullhorn, Fox News.
So you're going to be out there like on the bullhorn night and day and for days now. And have you got some news? Well, you got reports here. So, folks, if you're looking, our viewers here on Let Them Talk are exactly the type of folks who might go running down there to spend the night.
They should.
So this is your time. This is your chance. All right, you guys. I know all the Occupy folks who watch are out there. A lot of people are out there to Occupy. Here's something to go Occupy. Go right out there tonight. All right. So good. You're going to be out there and camping out on the street, which is legal. I mean, you have a legal right to do that as long as you don't block traffic and things like that, right? And so, are you going to speak? Are people getting up there and speaking? Is that what's happening?
Yep. I mean, we've been out there since noon. Yeah, sort of. There's like an elevated public space. They tried to shut us out of this public space, but we have lawyers defending us and things like that.
They tried to shut you out today? So how did that go down? Were you there for that, or did you see that go down?
Yeah, I was part of that going down. They, some of the group got up. It's a bit separated from the public sidewalk, but it is a little public tiny garden that's elevated right in front of the headquarters.
Right.
And so they let some of the group in because they didn't realize, and then they put a barricade there so that the rest of us couldn't go in. And it was ridiculous. It was illegal for them to do that. And when we confronted the police officer blocking us, as saying, well, my supervisor's on the phone, you have to wait. And one of our initiators was asking, just because your supervisor's on the phone, does that mean that we don't have access to our First Amendment rights? And the guy was like, But ultimately they had to let us there. But we're doing this for 100 hours, and people should come out. People who did Occupy, people who never did Occupy should come out. If you're up in the middle of the night, come then. If you're out during the day, come during your lunch break, come after work. In the morning, we're going to be there. And it's really exciting. People should bring food and water to support all the volunteers who are awesome.
Right.
But most importantly, this 100 hours is culminating in a nationwide day of protest that we're having on Saturday, July 15th.
And we're going to get to that. That's
Okay,
great. So this is the first 9 minutes here, and then in
Yeah.
the next 9 minutes, we're going to talk about what we're building up to through this event. Very good.
Great.
So Eva is joining us. She's wearing a no shirt, and she has wearing a sticker that says "No" in the name of humanity. Refuse to accept a fascist America, and she is claiming with strength that Donald Trump is in fact a fascist, or which is what I want to ask you a little bit. What is a fascist exactly? A lot of them people might not know. We used to throw that word around. You know, my principal in my high school was a fascist, but is that really the truth?
No, it is a truth. It is an absolute truth. You know, I wish it were an insult or an exaggeration, but it's not. It's an analysis of what's really happening, you know, what they said they would do and what they actually are doing. You know, it relies on these vicious, you know, sentiments of misogyny and homophobia and deep white supremacy, nationalism.
Like these
especially.
guys. Did you get any people like that out there today or yesterday? Did you notice?
Yeah.
Really?
His supporters are very, very much getting organized, getting mobilized, coming together. You know, they've been confronting us at almost every protest we do, especially at Trump Tower. They're threatening, you know, since we have these protests going around across the country coming up, they're threatening to arm themselves in Texas and confront our protesters. They're threatening to stop our protesters in LA from gathering at the Trump Hollywood Star. And, you know, we've received death threats. RefuseFascism.org specifically was actually the target of this, what is called like a doxing attack, which is where, you know, these thugs go on the internet and, you know, we had this call to action which people could add their names to publicly. They searched all of these people and published a list of everyone's home addresses that they could find, phone numbers, so that people could get threats. I mean, you know.
And your response to this is to double down, is to come back for another protest.
Exactly.
You're calling on people not to be intimidated by these things. That is a statement in and of itself of resistance.
Exactly.
So tell us about this event that's happening, what you're building up to.
So July 15th, there are going to be protests going on.
That's this Saturday, right?
This Saturday, that's right. All around the country. I mean, we have them in LA, San Francisco, Texas, Chicago, and of course in New York City. The theme of the event is the Trump and Pence regime must go. So anyone who's not okay with what they're doing, anyone who hates Donald Trump or Pence for any reason, this is the day to act on it. This is the day to come into the streets and bring your friends and bring your family, because ultimately what we are going to need is millions of people to flood the streets, to actually demand that this regime be driven from power.
Sort of a Tahrir Square type of thing.
Absolutely.
South Korea.
South Korea, I was going to say,
in Germany
too.
It was pretty intense, although that's a little different because you're not really calling for the same thing as in Germany where folks were coming out and fighting in the streets. Are you literally calling for that, or if not in this rally?
No, we're calling for just mass protest, mass political
I find that
resistance.
That's interesting to me because that's saying that there's still hope of change in America.
Absolutely, absolutely, there is, and it's been very disheartening to me, honestly, that so many people don't believe that there is hope. And I went on a national organizing tour where we traveled all down the East Coast. We went through the Deep South all the way to Texas and El Paso at the border. And, you know, and I thought there would be a lot of pro-Trump
Sounds
sentiment.
like the Sex Pistols tour. That got them in a lot of trouble. So how did you guys how did people respond to your message?
Well, see, I had never been to the South before, so I was like, it's going to be all Trump supporters. I was so nervous. It wasn't like that.
It wasn't.
There was a deep and visceral hatred of Trump. I mean, everywhere we went, we had a banner that say, when we would like post up on campuses and on the streets, drive out the Trump and Pence regime. And people would be drawn to us. People would be so inspired. They'd be taking photos. They'd be like, yes, give me some of those flyers. I need stickers.
And that's through the Deep South of the United States.
Yeah, but the other thing that most people would say is like, you know, I really wish that was possible. I really wish we could drive them out. And not seeing that, like, if people came together with that demand, that the people do have power, that it's not that our only option is to vote in 2018 or 2020, which we can't rely on that anyway. But, you know,
You think there'll be an election in 2018? 2020, the way things are going.
In 2020, I very strongly doubt it, to be honest. And I think that in 2018, even if they flip the House and the Senate to Democrats, which even looks unlikely, I don't think that'll do anything.
Then we'll be fighting a war with Russia, you know.
How would that stand up to a fascist
It's pretty
regime,
bad. It doesn't seem good. No, it's not too good. There's a lot of anger out there because there's change in America. How do you approach people who say, well, you know, nobody told me that, you know, I thought this was supposed to be a white supremacist, Eurocentric world, you know, country, and now you're changing everything on us. So what right do you have to do that?
I mean, I think that that's at the heart of a lot of the support for Trump in America, right? It's frustrated entitlement. It's especially a lot of white men who see, you know,
Sorry.
And especially not you, but who see, women entering the workforce as a threat. When the economy is in some sort of crisis and they're losing their jobs or their jobs are at risk, they're seeing, well, I'm white, so I deserve this, and black people don't, and immigrants don't, and they're coming and taking things away from me, and women are challenging me, and it has nothing to do with, conservative values or anything like that. And then, on the other side of it, you have Donald Trump is ridiculous, but you have Mike Pence too, this actual Christian fascist, right?
The bait and switch is that, let's say, the Trump family is so mired in corruption that they turn out to be easier than we thought to get out legally, then now's the bait and switch time. We get Pence, who nobody would have voted for in a million years, and he's president of the United States.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It's a very important
It's
point.
like a little Austrian corporal came to power the same way, similarly.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a real danger, right? And I mean, first of all, it takes a long time, impeachment does, and we cannot wait for that. We cannot just hope that happens. But you're right. We have impeachment. That's great. I'm happy. I'm very glad that people are fighting for that. But then you get
right. I wouldn't say to rely on that. Although that is happening. I mean, all the stuff that's happening out there, it's happening so fast.
Right.
That it's hard to know really what you'll wake up to in the morning. And I think for a lot of people, I'm talking to, we're not expecting that.
Right.
And so what kind of world is it that things change so quick that every morning you don't know what's going to be happening? Sometimes you leave in the morning, it's different in the afternoon when you get home.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
Well, I think it's part of it is shock and awe politics, right? And you brought up a little bit about the controversy with Russia is it a distraction?
Right.
And there are a lot of distractions that they throw out there. When Donald Trump is attacking this journalist, saying her face is bleeding, all of these things.
Right.
It's
all of a sudden everybody's screaming,
outrage.
right? You're screaming at him about what he said and the issue, healthcare, all these things that they're moving forward on get lost.
Exactly, and the Muslim ban comes back.
Right. So people want to protest, where should they go?
When people want to protest within the next several days until July 15th, there's 100 hours of no. It's at Fox Fascist News headquarters, 48th Street and 6th Avenue. We're going to be out there all day, all night, and then on July 15th, everyone needs to be out there. This is the day that you need to act, everyone. It's going to be 4 p.m. at Trump Tower. We're going to rally. We're going to march then to 48th and Broadway. We're going to have a big rally there with the stage and sound and everything, and then we're going to be marching through the streets.
Great. All right, good. Until and so this is bring your walking shoes.
Yes.
You ready to march,
absolutely.
right? It's going to be a cool day. I think the weather is supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be a perfect day Saturday. Not too hot, not too cold. Sun shining. Best day possible for a protest.
Yes.
Come down to Manhattan and join everybody for a march. There's been numerous marches now since the election. The day after, the night of the election, straight through, has been one protest or another. If you haven't been to them, they're amazing. The feeling of thousands and thousands of people from just a wide variety of backgrounds, all together for the same purpose and sharing their concerns and sharing their energy is just one of the great events that you can take part in. And so I always suggest folks participate in these protests and get out there because, use it or lose it. The Constitution of the United States says you have a right to assemble and right to freedom of speech, and it's very possible, believe it or not, to lose those things. When rights are taken away, they're very seldom regained. And a lot has been whittled for all our talk about the rights we have under the system. A lot have been whittled away in my time, and I think now your generation is saying we got to put a stop to it now. It can't go on. I mean, we didn't come out to protest, and unfortunately left you this world. We didn't protest enough. We protested a little bit in the past. In the 60s we did, but in the 80s the 90s we could have protested more. We should have been out there. So we have to make up, people my age. You got to get out there. You can't sit on your hind legs and say, we came out back then, or I was at Kent State or something like that. Those days are in the past. They're great days. We have to do it now. Now is the time. Those days are coming again. So convince me, like I need convincing, but convince our audience out there that Donald Trump is dangerous enough that he's just not like another clown on the stage who just wait till he goes away. Why is he dangerous, and why should we be protesting?
Well, the truth is that Donald Trump is the American Hitler. You know, there are very striking parallels between Hitler's rise to power in 1933 Nazi Germany and Donald Trump's rise to power. You know, Hitler said Lügenpresse, which meant lying press. Donald Trump says fake news, you know, and attacking the courts and attacking, you know, Hitler sought to tear down the Weimar Republic, and, you know, and in so many different ways, this fierce nationalism, the hatred of women. But you know what, in a lot of ways, Donald Trump is actually more dangerous because he alone has his finger on the nuclear trigger.
Right. Hitler in his wildest dreams didn't have that.
Exactly.
So this is a new level.
You know, Trump asked 3 times in one CIA briefing, 3 times, if we have nuclear weapons, why can't we use them? Well, this is the mass incineration of human beings that we're talking about. And I mean, this is someone who's demonizing and criminalizing group after group, especially Muslims, especially all immigrants, black people, refugees. I mean,
he doesn't seem to really care for human people, humanity. He has no concern for humanity at all. He seems, and his followers and people around him seem to see a world where it's just like their right to enrich themselves personally, many of them, and others seem to be following a twisted ideological point of view, right, in which they want to see a world where it's even beyond. I think the white people who are voting for this guy don't understand, like Bannon and those folks have some bizarre ideas of a world where there would be no international contact, we wouldn't learn languages, the schooling would be highly diminished, the amount of education just to what you need to do your job, and people would be forced into this sort of mindless 1984 type of society, in my opinion. This is where we're heading. I mean, Bannon and his supporters have written this and said this. It's not like a mystery. I'm not making it up. So facing the reality of, like, this is a serious time in American history. That's what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
This is up there. This is up there with Civil War, World War II. You know, it's a major turning point.
Yeah, I really think so. And things are very polarized in society right now. Even when we're meeting people on the streets, we're meeting people when we're protesting. Everyone feels like they have to have a say in it. People either really hate what's going on or they really like it. And I'm seeing this pattern really increase. Like, things are getting much, much sharper.
You don't really see people without an opinion.
Exactly.
Right.
But you know what? This is a time when people need to ask themselves, which side are you on? You know, which side are you on? And then you have to act on that.
How did you come to this? You were telling me a little bit about that. I think it's interesting to tell. You weren't born with a no T-shirt on, right?
I wasn't. No,
you're an art history student from a good college, and you went to a protest.
Exactly.
We were at the same protest. Which protest was it?
On Inauguration Day was my first protest ever. I had just graduated college, and you know, I had gotten a job, but you know, I was talking to my friend, and she was like, we had been so upset after the election, and you know, the inauguration was coming around, and we were like, we can't just let this happen. You know, we have to do something about this, or we're always going to regret it. So we went from New York, and we went down to D.C., and we just showed up in D.C. We had no idea what we were doing. We got out of the subway station, and I met people from refusefascism.org. They were there with all the no stuff, and I just grabbed a flyer. I was like, this looks cool. I signed up, and then we kind of split off, and you know, we witnessed a lot of these 230 people who were arrested on that day.
Right.
They were penned in, like, horrific conditions, like for hours and hours, no food, no water, no bathroom. And a lot of these people had just been standing around and just got rounded up and thrown in these pens. And journalists, at least one legal observer. And, you know, we were there for that. And the next day we came out to the Women's March, which was so moving. I know you were there too. It was emotional. I mean, for everywhere your eyes could see, these pink hats, these people who are just out there together, like, you know,
it was
united.
a large number of people.
Yeah, and
I
when
never
you were
seen anything so big. It was one of the biggest marches I've ever seen. It was like Woodstock of marches, really.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of people were really united everywhere you went, and just as they are in New York, you know, they're pretty united against this guy. I mean, he's very much the most unpopular person, but you said at the same time he has his really strong followers, right?
Yeah.
Who are somewhat dangerous people. Now, again,
Very
let's get back to
dangerous.
like the last 3 minutes or so. Tell us when the event is going to happen and when we're going to tell us about the 15th.
Yeah, so right now we're in the midst of 100 Hours of No at the Fox Fascist News headquarters.
Yeah.
And that's at 48th and 6th Avenue. We're going to be out there all day and all night. We're protesting. We're having a speak out right now. And tomorrow, actually, at 1 p.m., people should come out. At 1 p.m., we're having an indictment that we're presenting to Fox News for spreading all the lies, for spreading all the crimes and hatred of the Trump and Pence regime. And we're going to list all the ways that they've been doing that. And then at 4 p.m., we're going to have an hour for women. We're going to have a speak out. We're going to have some street theater where some of our female volunteers are going to dress as the Handmaids. You know, The Handmaid's Tale is
Really?
that show.
Yeah. Okay, tell people about that. What is The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, so
briefly,
the
in 30
Handmaid's
seconds.
Okay, The Handmaid's Tale is a show that basically it's based on a dystopian novel where, you know, we come to live in a world where Christian fundamentalists have come to power and women are forced to be breeders. Women can't say or do or wear what they want, and so part of
they wear like nun outfits, like little bonnets and stuff.
Exactly. There's bonnets so that no one can see their faces, and there's red capes. This is what they're forced to wear. These women who are, you know, forced to become. And this society
is this potential future society that Mr. Pence seems to want to bring about.
Exactly. Right? A lot of young women we've been meeting said that's what Pence America looks like. People should check out that show for sure.
Right.
So we're going to be having this hour, or also indicting the regime for this is what they're doing to women, and then this is what Fox News is supporting them doing to women. So that's going to be at 4 tomorrow, and we're going to have more details, more points in the day to come, special events, more news on that coming soon. But ultimately, the 100 hours is leading into Saturday, July 15th, protests that are going to be going on around the country. In New York, they're going to be at 4 p.m. at Trump Tower. The unifying theme is Trump and Pence must go. For anyone who feels this is the day to be out there. Whether you came to the Women's March or the Climate March, the Science March, or if you've never protested before, that's the day to do it.
What are the ways to get in touch with you guys?
So people can go to Facebook. You can go to Facebook, Refuse Fascism. On Twitter, it's at Refuse Fascism. And you can go to refusefascism.org. You can find our call for July 15th, the way that we're calling for people to join this. If you're part of an organization, you can endorse the protest. You can co-sponsor. And when you go on Facebook, Refuse Fascism, you'll find the event page for New York City. You should say that you're going. You should invite all of your friends. And most importantly, everyone should just be there on the 15th. This is when it starts. This is how we're building for millions of people in the streets, day after day, night after night, unified under the demand of we have to drive this regime from power.
All right. Thank you very much, Eva.
Thank
Appreciate
you so
it.
much.